Hey everybody, welcome to your daily update for SOL and BTC. This is going to be a fun one because it looks like everything has just gone on an absolute tear in the last couple of hours. So there's probably going to be a lot of if this then that go on. It is a Prime Day, so we were expecting Elmo chaos, etc. So this is all pretty normal, I guess. But we do actually have a couple of weekly closes today and a 2-week close, so a little bit different from a normal Prime Day. So looking at the liquidity, we have definitely started to push up into the shorts, but it's also very, very clear that people are chasing it. So given that it's a Sunday and this would be a weekend pump, the hard thing to know really is whether to trust this initial pump or whether there's going to be some kind of Monday, Tuesday reversal and go down and get all these people that have started to chase it. But I suppose that's kind of why we look at the structure and we just check out where the key levels are, and then we just see how price behaves when we get to them. So as it currently stands, if they were to reverse on the daily, that 107 area, it's still pretty much the same key area that has existed. And interestingly, on the daily, we've sort of lost a lot of that 114 now. It's really the newer positions are going to get liquidated, even if they just get up to about 112, which might happen. Oh, alert's going off. Might happen in the next 10 minutes for all we know. As for, better refresh this because we just had a big spike. Okay. Oh, she's really going for it. Where's it off to? The lower time frame liquidity map that I have on the other screen right now is just going on a tear. I'll just bring it over. There you go. Welcome to a short squeeze. So this newer liquidity that's just appearing on the map here just shows that people are, betting on this. So there's newer longs coming in, there's newer shorts coming in, which just gives them plenty of ability to move in either direction quite quickly if they want to. But it looks like it's just going to keep pushing up, and this looks like it's going to keep pushing up. So let's not bother talking about liquidity today because it appears it's going to change very much by the time we get to, oh geez, TP's going off left, right and center on my phone as well. Might just have to pause here, guys. Check out some orders. Okay, I think we might just skip liquidity today because it's going to be very, very different, I think, by the time we close the day. So let's have a look at SOLBTC Strength. So this is going to be a pretty pivotal moment, really. We've retested a older origin level, which is great. It's done a big bounce off that. It's created a range trend. It created a hold level a couple days ago. It may be creating a second hold level today. And it's breaking and hard closing. As long as it closes yellow, it's breaking and hard closing back into the downtrend, and it will have very small wick on the top of that. So if the new trend comes in, the new trend will be able to be broken pretty easily as well. It's not a guarantee that it will, but if it has a hold level here, which is what is it? So whatever that number is, 18709. So if it has that hold level and it creates this new trend and it doesn't have a big wick, then it can open up and it can bounce and it can keep moving. So that's looking good for SOL Strength on the daily. The weekly, let's have a look. The weekly is pulling back up above. So previously the weekly failed to close the downtrend. And there's a break level in there as well, but it's pulling back up above the downtrend. So that's a good minimum way to close. It would be more positive if it got back above the 19012 level, because then at least it's in a position of actually being able to hard close the break level on the next candle. But still, it's in a good place to be. So very, very, very good place to be. And let's have a look. I might just skip this up to the 2-week as well, because we have a 2-week close. Yeah, and so the 2-week close appears to have the intention of not creating a hold level. And it looks like it will create a usable bounceable uptrend. So as long as this stays above 18536 for the 2-week close, then we get a nice uptrend. We don't get a hold level, and that's just a fractal, or it's just the representation of the 1 week. So yeah, that's looking really good for a bounce. Let's put that back to weekly. And of course, they can stuff that all up in the next 1 hour and 44 minutes, but the way it's looking at the moment, I don't think they're going to do that. This looks like it might be a proper move to. It may mean we get a dip after this close, but it looks like it's a proper move to secure the structural point of the close. So that's looking pretty good. And the monthly's done, so all this doom and gloom on SOL from when we hit that trend line has been to find the support that was down here, and that's done. So this is just open now for the next couple of days to do what it wants, and so won't worry too much about that. Okay, perfect scenario here. So on the dominance, the trend moved yesterday when that closed. It's rejecting the trend. We want to see this close under the break level, which seems to be where it's heading now. So 65.09 is the magic number. If it gets under that and closes, then we fall back into this next range. And we have hard closed, unfortunately, the 64.68 level, so that might act as support. It's also actually very valid to retest it, because the candle that hard closed it, it hasn't had the retest previously. So if it's working its way towards the retest now, that in turn could create the resistance on that upper break level. So we just need to start breaking these levels down if you want alts to keep on pumping against BTC. But overall, looking good. If we have a look at it on the weekly, that's awesome. It's pulling back in underneath the trend. So as long as we close even where we are now, then we've got the weekly downtrend as resistance again. So we want to just push it down just a little bit further the next hour and 44 minutes, and then close down. This is only a single candle here, so it's not a break level. So the unfortunate thing about this close, though, is we are probably going to create some high time frame support here at the 63 level. So this is something I've actually been spending a lot of work on in the last couple of days, is trying to identify which retest of a polarized break level actually creates the real hardened support. So if this candle, which is not touching this level on the downside here, if it comes back down on the next one and hits this, then you'll probably see some kind of more alerts. You'll probably see some kind of pump again off that 63.76 level. But I don't know if it's the next touch, because I think the next touch is the one that can actually dive the level. And if that touch is recovered, the next one after that is the one that can pump it. So we might find that this becomes, a reversal for the strength of alts, and that could be next week, because it might get triggered and then it might pump, so that would be 63.76, or it could dive through it, in which case the pump keeps going, and then it's going to be some candles later that it actually becomes hardened support. So yeah, it's hard to know. So I guess we'll just keep an eye on that over the coming weeks. And the monthly is still just dangling, so not much going on there. Totals, well, we closed, we shifted the trend yesterday. We knew about that. We've got the hardened support that's running along here. We're bouncing off that. We're going up. So, insert one of those gifts. We kind of knew this one was coming, so that's fine. There's nothing really to see here as far as levels to close over. I mean, where it is great. It's probably going to target upper levels. We should see money inflow. And that one looks even more spectacular. So move the trend. We're on the correct side of the downtrend. We've bounced the trend. We're targeting these upper levels. So it's probably going to go, minimum 3.57, but that's not really a strong hold level because it's only a single candle after it. These ones that are up here at about 3.67, 3.71 and 3.73, 3.7689. These levels are more likely candidates for something that could cause some pressure against this trend, but it's it's looking pretty good. So this will hard close unless it really dumps. It'll have a hold level. We are going to, I'll delete it now, get rid of our interior trend, and our exterior trend is going to shift. So it's all about the wick, really. If it closes as you see it there, it opens on the top side of the trend. It has the freedom to move again. If it closes, it doesn't mean it is 100% guaranteed to. It can always pull back because it hasn't broken that trend. It's just opened on the correct side of it. But it's but the intention for, say, like this being a scam pump and there being a retrace would be a pull down underneath the trend and a long wick on the close of this candle, and then of course it can hit the back side of the trend and come down. But at this stage it's looking very, very strong. Okay, let's jump over and have a look at the weekly close. Okay, so this structure, I was showing this to someone yesterday, and I don't know, I've never really talked about it. I haven't done any videos on range formation, but effective, or order blocks in general, but effectively what this looks like is it looks like a full 1 week 3-piece base of range. Now that's interesting to see developing at this sort of level on the totals. So what it effectively means is that this structure, if broken, is capable of supporting an entire new range. So that means that you could see the next candle get up here, bounce, and go into price discovery, or in this case market cap discovery, and then range, including a few bounces, like how you always get those dips, etc., blah blah. Everyone thinks it's all over, because every single part of this can actually support one of these dips moving forward. So yeah, it actually structurally you just do not see this kind of thing happening so much on a really high time frame. So yeah, as far as the key levels in here, more sort of just focusing on the weekly moves, our key levels are our 3.41, which we've not hit, so this is still an intact weekly accumulation range. We haven't hit what's that one? Is that the same? 3.4, so very subtly different. We haven't hit that, so that's again another weekly accumulation range, which we're inside of. So if you were to sort of draw, don't even know where it is, don't do this terribly often, boxes, don't we love boxes? That is a range as far as weekly accumulation, and it's not been broken and people are still happy to buy. We've got this range as far as weekly accumulation, and that has not been broken and people are still happy to buy. Now we wicked out the top of it, which means some people took some greedy sells, and then we came back down because clearly they're going to want to buy at a greedy price at the lower side, but we have not been able to wick below it, which means they haven't really been able to buy a greedier price than what people were accumulating in that range to begin with, and they haven't been able to wick below this range. So as it currently stands, yeah, sure, they would have sold at the nice greedy point, and then they would have liquidated a bunch of people recently and rebought their positions, but they were not able to force the price down. So that just sort of shows that the amount of money, and this excludes stables. So forget all the stuff about, stables on chain and PayPal and blah, blah, blah. This is just, Bitcoin and ETH and, all of your altcoins, etc. So yeah, it's a very, very, very strong looking structure. So typically what then happens is that if they've bought down here, and they've already hit these break levels at the top, the next stage is we're going to form a break level up here at 3.84. So the break level could reject and become an origin level, because a rejection of the topside break level, if it closes under the break level of 3.78, becomes a high time frame resistance, and so that could be the end of the bull market. Like, fair enough, there is an option to fail there, but it also could go above that, and if it does break out to the upside, which would be closing anything sort of over this 3.78 area, then that breakout to the upside would be above the trends. It would be above these break levels. It would have left enough support in the form of this order block at such a high time frame to actually probably establish a range all the way up into this 4.61 area. And I think that's probably what you'd target, would be potentially one of these previous trends. Yeah, so it's looking really bullish. Just to put it, big explanation, sorry guys, but it's looking really, really, really bullish. And if it gets above these levels, you might see that final pump. The unfortunate thing is, if it does it too quickly, it's a bit of a scam, really, because it's coming from the underside. You really want it to get above here, close the candle, and the week after next week, go. Because at least then you're starting from the right point. But yeah, I don't think it's going to be a scammy pump, because they've built this support area, and it doesn't make a lot of sense for it to be a scammy pump if it goes. So why create something that can support the price multiple times? It actually looks more like they're trying to create a whole new range. It's way better than it was down here. So, okay. Let's have a look at BTC. So, same thing. Shifted the trend, bounced off the trend. It's going to break the downtrend. So it's heading back up to this range trend that's sitting here. So you may run into some troubles, as we run into that. We've got a hold level here, again, single candle, so it's not really a big deal. It's going to get back up inside this previous accumulation range, so again, looking good. So I'd just be keeping an eye on this to see if we reject, maybe a small rejection or something around the 100, and we're nearly there now, actually, around that 111, 112 area. And interestingly enough, the 114 liquidity has just appeared back on the short-term maps, so looks like it's back in range, which would mean pushing through this range trend. And it already created that rejection after it was hard closed here, and that was that first rejection, and then it's pumped down, and then it's had to find support. So it's there is another trend, I think, coming through here as well. Got that. Yeah, so that, more about that 112 area, so you might get a rejection off the backside of that. Depends whether that doji down there is actually classed. Dojis are so annoying, because it's either that is accumulation or it is distribution, as far as the algos think, but it is indecision, as far as the way I look at it. So we may not have hard closed this range trend up here, and we may just pop back inside that and then continue to push up to try and push through this next one. And we've got backside retest to do at 114, 320, and then we've got hold levels at 115, 116, and then up to the thing that created this entire rejection, which was the rejection of this break level up here at 117,500. So it is looking bullish. It's still got to work its way through all the different levels. and there are things in between, but realistically, it's a pretty it's going to be pretty hard for them to find a way to push that to a new low. I mean, they may sweep, because you do sometimes when you get two trends that, because this trend that moved to here, it came downwards, through different candles as it came down. Now, sometimes before you get a really big move, they'll compress two trends, and then what they'll do is they'll use all the liquidity that sits below the two trends, and they'll sweep the compressed trends and then go. So they have been compressing them together. They might sweep them and then go on one of these rejections. So it may not be the final dip, but it sure as heck looks like it could be. So, okay, weekly, yep, just perfect bounce so perfect retest. And this is sort of how you can measure reversals or estimate them. Like, you never really know when a market's going to turn around, but trends are all related to time. And if you've got a downtrend and you've got a support trend and they cross over at one moment in time, and that lines up with the availability of the candle to move up and down, because that's all candles can really do is go up and down, then that's often going to be the area. So looking at the weekly on BTC, it hasn't broken the break level, which is down there at 107,212. So that's really positive. It hasn't really reinforced any any high time frame support though, because hitting a level and then closing back inside of it is a stage of creating support. This hasn't actually done that, but it hasn't made anything weaker either. So it's completed the retest of the 110,647 level after the hard close. Yeah, it's just looking positive. There's no trend that's going to move today. So it's either going to pull back up above 113 or nearly 114 in the next hour, and then be back up inside this downtrend, which would be super bullish. Or it's going to close just under it and then maybe go up and down a bit. But at this stage, it's looking really bullish, and 115s just came back on the short-term liquidity heat map, so it looks like it's really starting to move to the upside. Okay, looking ahead to the monthly. Sorry, this is the 2-week close today. So 2-week close, if it closes as a blue candle, exactly as you see it now, it'll be on the correct side of the downtrend to break to the upside, and it will shift the support trend to the downside with plenty of ability to bounce on it. So this is, again, very, very positive. So it's moved back up inside the break level that is hard closed and retested now. So that makes 110 a much stronger support level than what it was previously. And also, that was a hard close and retest of 109,998. So that's again a stronger level. It hasn't revisited the front side level here, which is where all the greedy orders are sitting. So the big players have got their orders sitting at 105,690. Does it dive that in the next candle? Maybe. If they really want those greedy orders to be filled, they're going to find a way to just shove that price down as hard as possible. But they'll be competing with a support trend, a downtrend that's in a breakable position, 2 retested hard close break levels, and a range trend to be able to get to that level. Doable, but might be becoming inefficient to do it. Like, they might have to literally sell so much BTC to actually push the price down there that is it really worth it. So still a target. I'd say 105 is still a target, but it's probably going to be more of a target the more people chase this particular pump, because the more open interest that pours in the next few hours or even couple of days, is going to create a ability for them to do a liquidation cascade, which means they don't need to sell so much asset to actually get the price down there. So, but at this stage, looks really good. looks sustainable. Could be that dip still, yes. But this is sort of why I've been saying the risk to reward in buying here is really good, because you just don't know. Like, they might just give up. They might give up on trying to push the price down. As you saw on that example of the ranging on the total market cap, yeah, they were able to wick above the ranges to get a greedy sell, but they've not been able to wick below the ranges so far. Okay, looking at the 1 month. So the 1 month is in a position not to lose trend. That's pretty positive. So if there was one negative thing to say about the 1 month, that's that if it doesn't hit this topside trend line up here, then the next pump is possibly the end pump. Okay, so what that means is that when you got a trend coming through like this, if you lose it, you'll normally have a sweep of it, which was what was up here, and then some kind of correction, which is all of this. Now, if this does not get back to there in the next couple of days, then it probably means once again you hit it, there will be a big correction again from it. So it's yeah, it's sort of implying that blow off top and then down. So should we expect any different? Okay, over to SOL. Lots of lines on the SOL chart. 1 day is creating, yeah, so 1 day's moving back inside this range. It's not technically reinforcing 200. What's that? Yeah, 200 is not reinforced as support unless we get another day not touching it. So at this stage, it's just bouncing off a break level. So it may want to retest, one of these upper range trends. It could just keep going up for a while. It is creating a hold level as long as we close over 205. And this is an example of, compressed trends as well. So they wick down into the trends and then they've shot up. So you might get another wick down in that. What it is doing though, for anyone who wants a 180 entry or a 188 entry, is this is starting to reinforce the level here at 196,662. It's reinforcing that as a stronger level of support. So yeah, I don't know if this is the kind of thing that can actually take those 180 targets or entry opportunities away, because you're going to have two compressed trends that it could sweep, yes. Then you're going to hit this 196,662 level, and that's going to be reinforced support because this candle was not able to push its way down to that break level the second time. So the next touch of that break level, there's probably a bunch of orders in there. All of the greedy orders going, we want to buy the bottom of the accumulation range, the cheapest price. So the cheapest price may become this line, in the future. So just keep that in mind if you're sitting there sidelined. You're better off to be buying something if it touches that level, something, and then maybe you get your 188 because it wicks below it, but you're getting too much stuff here that is going to just stop that. So you might miss out on whatever the next move is to the new high. So okay, looking at the weekly. So the weekly is an insanely bullish close. It'd be slightly more bullish if it pushes up to say 112, which is funnily enough exactly where the block of short-term liquidity is sitting right now. So if it pushes up to there, then it will be back inside the weekly uptrend. So it is breaking this trend. So I'll take that off the chart. But if it pushes back up into there, it will be back up inside the weekly trend. And then we're looking to see the next week get back up above the the old Trump trend basically, and up above the 226 level. So this has hit the break level down here. So it's the start of the process to actually create a weekly support level. So the daily would have to form before the weekly forms because it all kind of works in time. But again, this is looking very, very bullish. So if it pushes down just a little bit more and opens on the wrong side of that trend, that then would be an indication that they want to do another dip. But the dip might just simply be so that they can come back down, hit this 194 level, and then start to establish that as a weekly base support. So to get to our 188 level, we've basically got to get all the way back down to something like this level from May, and yeah, that just gets harder and harder and harder. Basically, the more levels they stay above and close above, it just gets harder. Top side to this is that we could have a rejection off the backside of the good old Trump trend again, which is up around that 226 level. But yeah, that's looking very, very strong. 2-week close. So we never even managed to get down and retest the hard closed level. So this is a level we've been up above before, we've been down below. The 188.786 level, like it's still on my target list as we might get to add to entries here. But again, I just don't think it's worth waiting to have an entry that's just purely there. You might miss out because you've also got 179.340, which has got the same valid reason behind it as far as going and doing a retest. But again, it's just like getting a little bit like this thing is going to go, especially when you look at a new trend like that on the 2-week that gets created today. So we're well above that. If we come down and retest that trend, it might be this cross point here where we do a retest to that trend, and that's about 202, and that's a level from something big that's coming in the future, which might be the 3-month backside order block in a couple of days. So that's interesting that they're creating a trend that has a crossover point right there. So okay, looking at the 1 month, hasn't closed yet. Obviously, it's going to move its trend to the top side when it closes unless it gets all the way up over those levels. But I think this is the thing. I think everyone is waiting for a 1 month close to be up over these levels, and they might be forgetting that we have a 3-month close that's already just going to blow this out of the water potentially. So a 1 month close over 334 is bullish if you're just solely looking at a 1 month chart, and based on the speed and the momentum you've just seen, SOL's capable of doing that in 2 days. There's absolutely no reason why not. But there's a couple of other things that maybe we've forgotten about, and number one is that we've had this 90-day close, and that will get us above that level. This is a wee bit experimental because this is not a full 90-day candle, but the backside of a range like this, when it bounces with lots of volume. So this appears to be what's happening now, and this is going to be more than capable of getting over the top of that monthly and probably doing it very quickly. The target for something like this would be sort of around 250, maybe 253 again, that kind of level, depends how you measure it. And if it retraces back to 189, then you get a bounce up to 237 anyway. So it's quite safe just to be entering positions here as long as your liquidation's managed, because if it comes back to things like 189, you're going to bounce to 237. So it's not at all a problem. Okay, and we've still got this, which has been an accumulation now for several days or weeks, and it's an 18-week really high time frame move where the first potential resistance is the backside of a trend at 245, and then after that it goes to 266 for the topside trend, and then minimum target for the fib move, which is 286. So all of this stuff is in play, and it's just a case of how long was it going to accumulate for before it started to kick off. Okay, and Right, let's have a look at these others. So, SUI looking good. It's not hard closed below the break level here. It has hard closed below the 3.337 break level, so it may have a retest and rejection of something up in there. Could even be traveling to the previous trend, which was that dashed line there. So that's about 3.36 something. Bigger picture, this thing is probably going to go a lot higher than the ranges we're trading on this, but move the trend, bounce the trend, off it goes on the right side of the interior trend for the next candle to do the break, looking very structurally positive. ENA, this looks like it's going to create a daily hold level, and it's broken the trend several times. It's created a high time frame daily support down here at 5562. But yeah, it'll have a support level at 5971. So yeah, this thing looks like it's ready to start pushing up. So there's plenty of levels in there that it could go and retest. It rejected sort of off this backside hold that was, front side hold that was in here, kind of off the wick of it. It may want to come up to 6285 to do a retest of the broken range. And then anything past that as it basically just starts to ladder its way up. So as long as they create these hold levels and they start closing over the trends, they just ladder through these levels. That's basically how that works. And what it's doing down here at 5562, the equivalent resistance to that is this resistance up here at 83 cents. So again, that's one where it may just be worth starting to build the position. It may still, because the monthly rejection on this was still down to 54 cents or something similar. It was over here. Yeah, 5428 was the monthly. And so that's pretty close to where it got. It's really close actually. So 5428 is somewhere in here. Trading view's gone really laggy. Yeah, there's our line. And looking at it, yeah, so we've had this creates first bounce. Next one is usually a dive. Yeah, okay, so they might dive. So they may be trying to build high time frame support. They might dive to meet that target in the next couple of days or even day. It's hard to say. It just seems odd they'll be creating a hold level up here if they are going to come back down to this. So probably just keep an eye on whether this closes over or under 0.5971. And yeah, you may get a dive and then an up and then a day over the support and then a touch and then just a rocket through all that. So that's looking like it's ready to pop. Don't fade Trump tokens. So compressed trends, dive for liquidity, regain of trend, bounce off trend, moving back to hold. That trade's nearly over. It's there'll be more on this, but it's probably next TP if you're in this would be somewhere above this 2249 level, and if you're not in this, then maybe look to see if it rejects off. That is a touch, sweep. It's a pretty interesting level, that one. It may reject off that 23 cents, or it may close over it and explode. I still think this is going to come up and test the range trend up here, so around 27. So it's probably a good token actually to be looking at longing this because I don't want to get all political on you, but whenever you ever seen a president's investments go wrong. ZEUS, Don't buy what people shill. So out of everything you've just seen, this one's the one that looks like it's going to die. So this may close the week underneath the range. So it is, to be fair, I'm only kind of always joke about this one because there's a particular social media influencer who keeps telling people to buy it under $1. It's now down to 10 cents, so it's good buying. But yeah, it could be trying to create weekly. It's going to take a while, but it could be trying to create weekly support here. But it's more likely it's going to close under here, bounce off the backside of that, and come down to 5 cents. So yeah, no trade there. Cook. So if it gets back up over the, what level is that? 0.012338. If it gets back over the top of that, then it might take that next move up. Else, if it closes under it, it could reject down. Can't really see as much in there. I think that was dumb of me to miss that. That was your support level there. There it was created. There it was a buy zone. Oomph. Interesting. Just trying to see what actually level is in play here. It's not, can't really be that. Yeah, I don't know. Keep an eye on whether it closes over the top of the break. If it does, you could look to bounce and target. You've already tested your hold, so your next target would be 13934. Hype. So this is building daily support at this level. So you've had your dive, that candle just fractionally closed above, you bounced, getting back up inside the trend, so getting back up inside the range. So the next bounce could be off trend, or it could sweep and then go, but this is looking like it's trying to create a structural base. So that's looking pretty good. And your next levels, so where would that be? So yeah, it should be able to make its way back up to that 52 area if it bounces off that trend, and then it's going to target something like 57. So this is looking really, really bullish. Definitely looks like we're pretty much ready to go for that final altcoin pump. Say, nope. It's really in a nothing position. It needs to go up a bit to get able to close over the trend. It's really just doing nothing there, so no trade. This is super bullish. I was actually waiting for this to come down just to about 1.66, but it's bounced off the wick here. So fractally, that must be a different time frame, but it looks like it's going to open on the new side of the trend and then probably come up and target that $2 range again. And then after that, if it breaks above that $2 range, or was that 2.12, the next target will be the topside trend and the hold level up here at 2.27. So ASTER's looking really, really bullish. And total market cap. Just was looking at this just before I started recording the video. So it's hit this trend, so we're probably going to at least revisit that level. It is a hard close, just putting it out there though. It's the hard close of this level down here on the monthly. So that means in that first week of next month, do we see that back down to there? And that could be a dip, because it takes a bit of time to secure things like daily and weekly levels as like hardened support. So we might see a pumpy few days, pumpy couple of days even, and then this candle closes, and then we get some shock tweet, and down it goes, does the retest, and then everyone's going, oh no, market's over, and then it does the real pump after that. So yeah, just keep in mind that with the size of your positions and your leverage, and just remember, like, you're better to do 10 sort of medium or conservative trades than try to make one trade that, you know, changes your life, because changing your life can be both directions. So just yeah, keep that in mind. Hopefully that's people have got something from that, and let's see what happens. Let's see how it closes. Let's see if we get a retrace. Like, subscribe. We're over 500 subscribers now. That is awesome. Come join us in the Discord. Working on some stuff too, just like tools and things like that, that, you know, we might be able to, I hate to say it, they won't be free because there will be developers and various other people behind them, but working on some stuff that, you know, might allow people to do some of the stuff, you know, much simply, or much more simple, and, you know, and yeah, we'll see how that all goes, and catch you again on the next one. Cheers. Bye.